Welcome to Does This Work? Hosted by Jared Hurft. Let's find out, does this work?
Hello, welcome to Does This Work, a comedy podcast, and today's episode marks a special occasion. It's 1 year of doing this podcast, that's right, and I thought for my 1 year's guest, why not bring back someone who sort of kicked this whole thing off, the author of Finding Your Comic Genius, Mr. Adam Bloom. Thank you for coming and coming back for my 1 year where, you know, comedians love a callback, and this is all full circle, you know.
I can't believe how efficient you've been. One a week, just without fail. But yeah, thank you. I remember vividly. I can't believe a year's gone by. It's quite scary when you think about that. But yeah, I was in Australia a year ago this month.
Yeah, that's right. We did the masterclass. Everyone loved it. People still rave about it and talk about it. And I don't know
Really?
how many times your name has come up on the podcast. In fact, I had Brendan Burns and Mickey D on, and they were sharing some war stories from back in the day, and your name came up a bit as well.
Oh, Brendan's one of my oldest friends. Brendan was probably my first really close friend in comedy.
Oh, great.
Yeah. How's he getting on?
He's great. He did a Fringe show, which I was able to go and see. He talks about his whole career and all the crazy stuff that's happened to him over the years. Heavy into the government conspiracy stuff. And then, but it was great. And then he's still gigging around the place. Yeah. Still doing good. Taking care of his mum, who's not well, I think.
Oh, God, I love that lady. That lady. But anyway, back to me.
Yes, back to you. More about you. That's all I want to know. Yeah, so...
is that my turn to speak?
No,
is
that's
that
fine.
my turn to speak?
Fine. Back to you. I was going to say, so the podcast, since you came on, has changed a lot. So it did start very, let's talk about comedy and question and answer and structure and stuff. And now I've had people come on and we have a drink sometimes. Sometimes we're just talking nonsense. We have a laugh. But it's great. And it all started with you. So thank you for coming back.
No, thank you for having me. I remember seeing one clip of Lockie, and he quoted me, and he wasn't sure if it was from the book. And I can confirm it wasn't from the book; it was from a website, a podcast. I said that you can't teach someone to be funny.
Yes.
Your funniness is in you,
Right.
but you can teach someone to bring it out better.
Yes. Which brings me, raises a good point. When you've been in it for such a long time and you're so analytical with your jokes, can you see when someone is naturally funny on stage or if they've just rehearsed a delivery the correct way?
Well, I think you can be both, you see, because I'm naturally funny on stage. I can improvise without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But when I come up with a joke, I tweak the wording. I mean, that's an interesting question, because there are some people whose stuff isn't wordy, and therefore by not being wordy, they don't have to tweak that much. As long as the balloon pops on the right syllable. You know, there's a comedian called Peter Kay, who's the most natural comedian I've ever seen.
Yeah.
With no close second, but his stuff's very much observations about being at a wedding when you're a kid. You know, that he doesn't. It's very straightforward, like a 5-year-old could understand it.
Yeah.
So, but he's the most naturally funny comedian I've ever seen. But there are also extremely naturally funny comedians like Ed Byrne from Dublin, who his stuff is meticulously worded. So what I'm seeing is a naturally funny person who's put a lot of craft into their work. But it's a difficult question to answer, because when somebody's material is like really structured, but they've got that little natural twinkle in their eye that shows their funny bones inside them, that doesn't diminish the fact that they've worked on it doesn't diminish the fact that they're funny. It's just some comedy takes more work to get right.
Yeah, that's right.
If I see something that's meticulously worded and might have taken 3 or 4 attempts to get right because it's so tight and crafted, I don't look at that person and go, "Oh, you're not naturally funny," because they could drop their material and improvise for an hour and be just as funny, just with more simplistic stuff.
Yeah. So then do you think it's important if you are naturally funny? Because I do see people come into the industry and they're just crowd favorites. They're popular because they're just talking about whatever comes to their head. Is there something in you that goes, oh, they'd be so much better, even better if they had a structure or they understood what they were actually saying?
That's a really hard one to answer. God, you're challenging me here. I think people find what comedy works for them, and if your comedy's light-hearted and it hasn't got any weight behind it, it's just like observations about getting dressed in the morning.
Yeah.
If that's if your natural clown suits that, then no, I don't. I don't. There are some people who I think don't push themselves. There's one guy I won't mention, but his improv is phenomenal. But he'll go and do a set and won't do any improv, and then gets heckled. So he's having maybe a 3 out of 10 gig, gets heckled, is staggeringly good with the heckler. His mind goes like that, and you see the real wit. And I'm like, well, if you've got better improv than material, why are you not doing any improv?
Yeah. Do you think that you need to have that aspect to be a successful comedian today, to have good improv?
No, no. There's a comedian called Julian Dean, one of my favorites. He does no improv whatsoever. He walks on stage and just delivers killer line after killer line after killer line. And no, Harry Hill, who's the reason I became a comedian, he said he can't do panel shows. He says, I can't think on my feet. But he writes the most inventive material I've ever seen in the world.
Yeah. Is he still right?
Yeah, he was on tour recently.
Yeah. And because you famously are a ghostwriter as well. Are you allowed to talk about that?
Yeah, just not no. I can't mention names.
No, that's fine. So you're still
No.
ghostwriting now. Is there anything what? Yeah, like in terms of shows or anything or productions that you're allowed to mention?
I can't. No, I can't
No,
mention
that's
anyone
fine.
I write. But here's some statistics for you.
Yeah.
When the book came out 3 years ago, in next month, my God, I'd written for 50 people. It took me 20 years
Yeah.
to write for 50 people. In the 3 years since, I've written for a further I've written for a total of 130 people, which is a further 80. So I wrote 50 people in 20 years
Yeah.
and 80 people in 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's probably 8 or 9 times as many per
Yeah.
month.
And then again, without mentioning names, have you ever seen something you've written delivered in a way that you didn't intend for it to be, or it didn't
Y-
quite?
y- Yeah, there was one stadium filling comedian in England, and my fee was half a day with him,
Yeah.
and the evening was to watch his show with
Yeah.
my tweaks. And I went backstage and I said, you know that joke that didn't work about the thingamajig is because you got the wording wrong.
Yeah.
And he went, right, almost as if to say, I fill stadiums,
Yeah.
so you can't tell me anything. And I thought, well, I have to defend the joke because the outcome for me is that the joke is good. And if you don't get the wording right and the joke fails, it looks bad on me. But of
Yeah.
course, it takes two people to write a joke,
Right.
the writer and the performer. So so that was frustrating because I realized that he didn't like being told that he was ever wrong.
Yeah.
And part of me felt like saying, well, if you're that good, why are you using me in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
So
good
that wasn't
point.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
that wasn't great. But it's like everyone talks about what a genius Kanye West is, and I'm like, well, he uses ghostwriters at least for one famous track of his.
Yeah.
So, Eminem doesn't.
Yeah. Do you think that you can write crowd work like pre-scripted? I know I see some comedians who looks like their retorts back to hecklers seem like it could be copy and pasted anywhere. Um, but yeah, do you think that it's smarter, or do you think it's as smart if it's pre-written a retort to a heckler?
I like improvising with hecklers,
Yeah.
but the thing is, it's always good to have a couple up your sleeve as
Yeah.
preparation. But for me, it's a bit boring when a comedian only uses heckle put downs on a heckler because, fair enough, like we talked about, some comedians can't improvise well, but it's a bit like having a gun on you. If you're carrying a gun, you don't have to fight someone. You just pull the gun out. So the heckle put down is a bit like a gun. It's there, fire, you win. But
Yeah.
I'd like to see someone wrestle someone to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, great. Um, so you were mentioning that you were you're good friends with Brendan Burns.
Love him.
He's great. He's awesome. In fact, he was talking about Fat Cave and how he would wanted to get some of those guys back together. Were you ever involved in that?
What's it called?
Fat Cave?
Don't know what it is.
So he had a I think during Edinburgh Fringe, him and Mickey D and they had this big like secretive sort of stand-up comedy sort of thing, dare night. The guys from South Park somehow got an invite and were turned away at the door. So the creators of South Park. So Brendan tells a story. They came. They said, we've got an invite, and the girl at the door, who's in her 20s something, said, I'm sorry, we're at capacity. And they were like, sorry, we don't mean to be dicks, but we're the creators of South Park. She said, I don't know what that is. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to let you in. And they found out. Mickey D and Brendan Burns found out, and they were just devastated. They still talk about it. They still talk about it with such pain. But is there anything, those kind of stories you must have some wild sort of Brendan Burns moments yourself?
Yeah, that's. Oh, I like the way they said, the way they presented it. Like, we don't want to sound a dick. It's funny that someone in their 20s wouldn't even heard of South Park.
Yeah.
My mum discovered South Park recently at 83, and she's watched
wow.
everything.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
she likes it as well.
She loves it. She hates Cartman. Um, Brendan Burns stories. I did a uni gig with Brendan. It was a freshers' ball in like Wales, all in black tie, and the room we were playing comedy in was, they had a comedy club there anyway. It was called Gagging For It. It's a big wooden sign on chain saying Gagging For It, and the door was next to the stage, and that's, with a ball, people wander in and out, right? So rather than just going, well, except there's going to be a little bit of movement, Brendan went, nah, can't have the stage there. He told them. He told them. So they moved the stage, and the gig was better. Brendan smashed it. I had an okay gig. Brendan smashed it. But the what I learned from Brendan is, you don't ask people to change things in a club setting.
Yeah.
I don't mean a comedy club. Obviously, it's their own club. That's how it's set up. But what I mean is, in a special event, such as a corporate event or a uni gig where things are going to be different, you don't ask them to do this. You tell them to do this. And if they think you're a bit of a dick, that doesn't matter, because what matters is you have a good gig, and then they're happy you had a good gig. So I don't care if I say that's got to move. I don't care what they think. I don't. My point is, if you say, can you move that? They'll say no. So if you
Yeah.
say that has to move, then they take it as an order. Now, of course, you can thank them at the end, but you have to say it with authority. You have to tell them what has to happen. There's a lovely moment, actually. There was a girl standing in front of the sign in a silver miniskirt that was like, like as short as a skirt can be legally. And I looked over, and she's got the words Gagging For It behind a 20-foot sign. And I said, hey, listen, I think the outfit says it on its own. You didn't have to bring the sign along.
Yeah.
But it was brutal. But she's standing next to a sign saying Gagging For It when there's no stage next to it, of course,
Yeah.
because it'd been moved. So what I learned from Brendan was, yeah, you tell them how things have to be. Of course, you can't turn to a comedy club and change it, because a comedy club is designed to, hopefully, to perfection.
Yeah.
The Comedy Lounge in Perth, the fine tuning is on an OCD level.
Yeah.
So you can't walk into a comedy club and move the stage. They'll go, no, that's where we have the stage. But in a comedy club, the stage is where it's supposed to be.
Right.
So yeah, but corporate events, I've walked at corporate events and gone, no, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And they certainly listen up when you say this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
And of course, if they keep it that way and it doesn't work, then you've just predicted it. So
Yeah.
it's their problem.
Well, since you were here last, I don't know, there's been so many rooms in Perth that have opened up. Nothing really compares to those professional rooms here. But even I was just watched this new film called Is This Thing On? With Will Arnett. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I know I haven't, but I love Will Arnett.
Yeah, he's brilliant in it, and I never get to see him in dramatic things. And he was brilliant because he's normally quite a comedic actor. But it was a lot about how he splits up with his wife, and he goes past the Comedy Cellar in New York City, and he wants to go in, and they won't let him in without a $15 cover charge. Someone goes in and signs up as a open micer, and they don't have to pay, so he goes in and does it, and then sticks with it. But I think
This is based on a friend of mine. This is based on a friend of mine, John Bishop.
It is based on John Bishop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and I didn't realize that until afterwards, until it said based on a true story. But it was funny because he just went up there and started talking about his separation. He said, I think I'm I think my marriage is over. No one's laughing, and it's all quite dramatic. You can't see the audience at all, just his close up on his face. And he goes, "Well, the sure sign is I live by myself without my wife and kids." And then that gets a bit of a titter of laughter. And then he starts to he starts to get addicted to it, starts going back. But what I found in the movie is that he was doing quite he started to write. The comedians are, oh, you have to write everything down. He starts to write, but he's doing quite advanced comedy writing stuff for the movie, for the level that he's at. He's doing compare and contrast and incongruity, and he's talking it out as he's doing it. But anyway, I found myself looking at the comedy club there with this is quite its famous, world famous one is dark and dingy, but it's like it's cool. But I found myself going, oh, there's nothing really like that here. Like Comedy Lounge is amazing, but it's very bright and bells and whistles and lights, camera, action. But there's nothing really in that sort of basement sort of.
No, their gig in Fremantle's a bit more low key, though, isn't it?
Yes, I don't know if the Comedy Lounge have that one anymore. I think they've.
Oh, I like that gig. I like that gig. But the I know what I mean. It's not intimate. It's still a big room, isn't it? I suppose in a way, the Comedy Cellar's got the darkness and simplicity of the Fremantle gig, and the size of the whatever the Comedy Lounge. Where's that? What area is that
in the city in Northbridge.
Right. So you got that. So yeah, I suppose. But I like I like jazz. I grew up in jazz clubs. My dad was a musician. I like candle racks on tables. I like a sense of someone's been here before. You want to walk in like ambiance, like bright rooms. I suppose brightness takes away ambiance, doesn't it? If you want to walk in a room and sense the history that's been there, they are the seedy rooms that haven't been cleaned properly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Comedy Lounge, its brightness is its charm.
Yeah, that's right. It is quite, and it's quite, like you said, it's polished to a OCD sort of level. And I think that shows, yeah. And it's definitely there for audiences as well, if you know what I mean. Like that is definitely designed for an audience experience, not so much like, I mean, I've started running a small space in Subiaco, and it's 5 or 6 people turn up, and half of those leave halfway throughout, and it's still comedians turn up and do it. Do you think that I was having this chat with some of the comedians, Sean Conway and Simone Springer, I don't know if you remember them. We were talking about just the slogging it out as a new open micer or even a seasoned open micer, about just waiting for the opportunity, waiting to be seen, waiting to be noticed. Do you think it's wiser to go out and make your own opportunities in terms of building your own show and opening it up to the public and ticketing it and then becoming a commodity that people need?
Look, if I knew the answer to that kind of question, I'd be more well known myself. Social media's changed the game, of course. I mean, what happens is some people build a big following on social media, but they have more followers than they are good at comedy, and they can get people tapped to see them, but they're not going to come back. Yeah. Because they go, this person was really good with their mum's wig on doing 2 point of view things. Yeah. And then when I saw them do stand up, it was really bad. I hear about people walking out all the time of these people's shows. So if you're going to get good on social media, just make sure you put the same amount of effort into your stand up as your point of view stuff, because it's all very well having followers, but if you can't make them laugh when they come and see you live, then you haven't got a product. With regard to taking it the club route, get stage time as much as you can and work and grow and do your social media separately. That's great. And then when you've got a good hour show, then you can show your followers where your show's going to be. Yeah, people have bypassed the circuit. There are comedians on tour in England who I've never heard of.
Right.
And they're touring 200-300 seaters. Yeah. And I've never heard them because I don't follow them on Instagram, and their stuff hasn't popped up on my feed. And but the club route is that the new comedians in England, they don't watch the whole show. They do their gig and they leave. And I'm like, okay, so you don't love it then? Mm. You're literally turning your back on the comedy club and walking away for it. Well, when I was new, I traveled to a comedy club on my night off and watch it. So they're in a comedy club, having done a gig, they turn their back and walk out. They don't say, oh, I'm sorry, I've got an early night. They just leave. And then I go on stage with 32 years experience, have 3 times the gig they've had to a more tired audience doing 3 times the spot.
Yeah.
That if I had 10 in the middle, I'd take the roof off that gig.
Yeah.
And they having a tepid gig in the middle, and then then missing me or another or any. When I say me, it's because I'm there to watch them leave. But if they're doing it to me, they're doing it to other people. Unless I'm the only comedian in the country no one wants to watch. It's like, oh, Adam Bloom's on, let's leave. The point is that there's a generation of comedians who don't love comedy. They want to get on stage to use it as a vehicle for something else. They want to get more followers. I've seen comedian having a near-death gig and still leafleting everyone on the way out with their QR code for their social media. I think, how many followers do you think you're going to get when that audience didn't laugh at you?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't answered your question, have I?
No, that's fine.
Well, but to conclude, the open mic scene is where people really learn to get good, because
Yeah.
if you can make 12 people laugh above a pub when there's noise from the pub coming through, then when you get to the bigger clubs, when it's all there laid out for you like the Comedy Lounge, then you're going to really, it's like taking ankle weights off and jogging.
Yeah.
So gigging in a hard environment's really good. If it's all you're doing, that's not good. You know, some comedians say to me, I'm only ever gigging to comedians.
Mm,
I went to see a new comedian do a gig the other day, and it suddenly occurred to me I was the only person in the audience that wasn't on the bill.
right. Yeah.
It's not a
That's
gig.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it feels sometimes at some of the newer rooms here, because I'm running a room on Sunday and it's famously here. I don't know about over there. It's not a great day for comedy. People are it's 7 o'clock at night on a Sunday. People do not want to go out and do stuff because they've got work the next day. Most of them anyway. So a lot of the time it is, and it's not intimate like it needs to be. There's tables and chairs and booths around the side, and we've set up chairs in front, but they wanted that. I think because with the whole with social media and the expectation that you're going to go to a comedy club and be made fun of, they sit as far away as possible, and then still shout shit out.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so it's rough, but yeah, so in your decades of experience, I guess you must have come across a lot of people that are come in and out of the industry. You must have come across a lot of egos. I don't really have much of one. I'm kind of a people pleaser. I stay out of the way. I've been fortunate enough the Comedy Lounge have been giving me some paid spots on the weekend, and that's great. And I'm very aware of don't say it to that person, don't let that person know, because there's feelings of resentment towards people that get spots before other people. Have you ever come across anything like that where you've done really well and you come across someone who's doesn't celebrate how they should if they're a friend?
When I was new, I was driven beyond comprehension, and there was a lot of backstabbing and bitching about me and gossip and rumors that none of them were true, because people were looking back, they were jealous that this guy was getting on.
Right.
I was getting on because I was good and I worked hard. And if you've only got one of those two things, you're only going to go so far. You
Mm.
know, hard work over talent is actually better than talent over hard work.
Yeah.
I know one extremely successful comedian who is quite talented and extremely hardworking. And then people, it's in my book, people you would bitch about him. I didn't say specific people. I didn't even say the word him. It's very strange attitude that people boast that they're more naturally talented than someone who's doing well.
Mm.
Well, talent's free, isn't it? So if talent's free, you can't boast that you're talented and not doing anything. That's an insult to your own talent.
Yeah.
Hard work is all you got to be proud of. If I'm considered gifted, then I'm lucky to be gifted. What I do with that gift is to work hard to become a good comedian. Comedians are made, not born. Funny people are born.
Mm. Yeah, that's
You
great.
know, there's very few people who were outstanding comedians as new comedians. Most of us changed our personas and look and tweaked our styles, and then we were, oh yeah, this is feels right. But the I was bitched about as a new comedian, really nasty, really spiteful, and I'd hear things I'd apparently said that just I'd never said.
Mm.
Someone said that I turned around to one book and said, I'm going to change the face of British comedy. Well, I didn't say that.
Mm.
I just wrote a book and changed it globally.
And the book is going great. I constantly see you out and about and doing the courses and stuff, and people are responding really well.
Classes, let's call them classes.
Classes.
Course has a structure. I'm not a fan of courses, but no, it's a 7 hour Q&A, as you know, about a book. But I don't like the word course. That's my dirty word.
Yeah.
I've done 76 now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Australia was one of the highlights. Um, um, but yeah, I've got an audiobook out. If I can mention that, that would be quite nice to talk about.
Yeah, great. And you had a couple of friends and your mum come and do the some of the reading. That's great.
So my mum inspired the Seesaw, which is chapter one. So she read it. 83 years old, she read a chapter from an audiobook.
That's great.
It's
And
pretty cool, right?
did you take much arm twisting to do, or was she all for it?
She took some arm twisting.
Yeah.
She said, I won't be good. And I said, any sentence you read that you don't read well, we retake it until you're happy.
Yeah.
And I mean, loads of people, but, one person had to come back twice to do retakes. So
Right.
not only did they make mistakes and redo them, they also made mistakes that weren't spotted and then had to come again with new mistakes. So my mum was slick. I mean, it's very interesting that the people who are, I'm not going to name names, there were a couple of people who could do it in their sleep
Yeah.
because they do it all the time. So, but it's hard reading with a knowing there's a producer looking down through a window at you while you're reading, looking for any mistake so they can
Yeah.
stop you and say, "Do that again." That's a pressure most people can't cope with.
Mm.
So, I thought my mum did really well. But yeah, it's a couple of big hitters. Got Matt Lucas from Little Britain,
Yeah.
who's done a stadium tour.
Yeah.
Ed Byrne, who I mentioned earlier, one of the most quick to become good comedians I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then some legends of the circuit who didn't get well known, but for whatever reason. But Ninia Benjamin's a force of nature. I call her a force of nature in the book. Matt Welcome, one of the most original comic minds I've ever known. Tim Clark, the first comedian I ever saw. Adie Lloyd, who inspired the book.
Yeah.
And then there's Hannah Altman, who's a comedy agent, who's got the most seductive voice on the planet. She rang me up. This is pre-internet. She rang me up for a gig, and she's talking to her on the phone, and she's got this gentle Scottish accent. She's Scottish but lives in London. It's a very gentle Scottish accent, but you can tell it's Scottish. And I said, Hannah, you should do phone sex for a living, right? Now, in 2026, you say that to a booker, you'll get cancelled, right? But the truth is, I had a long-term girlfriend at the time. She'd met my long-term girlfriend. She knew what I was just saying. Your voice is very seductive, but it's like it's so seductive, isn't it? Reading my book, I mean, you could fall asleep to her voice. You could put on at night to fall asleep. I'm not really selling a book when I say you could fall asleep listening to my audiobook.
Yeah.
It's that educational.
Yeah. It's funny when you can I had a similar thing with well, I won't mention with her name, but I was emceeing and I won't say now, I'll say Jane Smith, and she was wearing kind of a revealing sort of a low cut sort of top, and I introduced her as Jane, my eyes are up here, Smith. And she's like, she didn't even hear it. She just came up and she was like, "That was great." She's like if it was anyone else, you don't have a creepy vibe, so I don't mind. I'm like, well, then I haven't been trying hard enough, was another joke. But it's funny when you can sort of roast and play around, and it's all in good fun.
Well, you got to know them well. Do you know her well?
Yeah, well enough. Yeah,
Ed Byrne brought me on stage once and went, "This next act's very nervous, and he's got reason to be because he's shit." He also brought me on at a benefit gig only a couple of years ago and said, we started at the same time, and when I first saw this guy, I knew he was going places, but I was wrong."
that's great. All right. So what about? I found out you have quite an interesting hidden talent, and I don't have any wobbly tables or chairs here at the moment. But
So it must be a very, very deep mathematical or understanding of physics. But yeah, if I'm at a restaurant with a wobbly table, I can hear the gap. I can fold something up and feel the pressure and the squeeze and whatever, and the thickness, of course.
yeah,
And I put it underneath, and I've got a 95% accuracy of getting it exactly flat.
that's great.
Yeah.
And how do you discover a talent like that at a restaurant, out in public, and you?
Just by getting it right every time, and other people were getting it wrong. And I
Yeah,
went, it's a knack. It's a knack. I'm hearing
yeah,
because when something wobbles, part of your brain knows the distance and the
Yeah,
space.
yeah.
It's all there. The spatial awareness or whatever the word is for it. And yeah, but it doesn't. It's never got me laid.
Have you got any other secret hidden talents like that?
I can play the flute
Oh, great. And you're
and I
a
do close up. Yeah,
hell of a
I'm a close
magician.
up magician.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm an amateur. I'm an honorary member of the Magic Circle, though.
Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, last time when we last time we caught up when you were here, we went out for coffee and we talked about magic, and you did a couple of tricks for me in Carron
So
Shopping
did
Center.
you.
Yeah,
So did you.
I did a
You did a
couple.
couple for me.
Yes, yes. I can. I mean, I
Vanishing
like.
pen.
Yeah, I can
Vanishing
make.
pen.
Yeah, the pen disappearing. I do it at restaurants, and I'll do a knife disappearing behind the table. You know, make it fold. Um, um, and then yeah, and I went to the Magic Castle in LA, the big exclusive comedy, the Magic Club there, and that was amazing. But yeah, I think my only hidden talent, I found this out many years ago, was I can get the ice tray to the freezer without spilling a drop of water.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. No, I can't do that. Yeah, I envy that. I'd swap that one with you because water on the floor is never good, is it?
No, unless you're wearing socks, you just give it a quick. But the trick is, I just give it a quick bang on the bang, so it just settles all the water droplets off, and then without it spilling, goes straight into the little slot every time.
That sounds like cheating in a way.
Yeah, a
It's like
little bit
using
of a
AI.
cheat.
That's like using AI to write a joke.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so you have a technique.
It's a technique, but it's more getting to the from the sink to without it wobbling and spilling. I can do that easy. Speaking of AI writing jokes, how do you feel about using it as a tool for like say I've run it into chat, I've run sets into ChatGPT, and I've said don't change a single word, but can you estimate the timing of this? Like, is it for a tool like that or anything? Is it worth anything at all for comedy like that?
Look, I've yet to be converted, but I'm never going to ask AI to reword a punchline of mine,
No.
or write a joke in my style.
Yeah.
No, stand-up's a celebration of the mind. Why would you want a machine being the mind? I know some comedians who say they use it so they'll say, give me a load of things related to chess.
Yes.
And then it will come up for competitions, but
Yeah.
they might come up with something on the list about chess that you hadn't considered.
Yes.
And therefore, when you're trying to write a joke about chess, you go, oh, yeah, I never thought about magnetic pieces on travel boards.
Yeah.
So then you've got a joke start writing about magnetic piece. I'm playing chess as magnetic. And then your brain writes the joke itself. Now,
Yeah.
I got no problem with, a list method where a computer gives you a list because that list isn't a joke. If they just say, list about books, you open too wide and the page is damaged and it always open on that page. That's not a joke, it's an observation.
Yeah.
If you go, hey, have you noticed when you open a book too wide, it opens on that page? Yeah, good night. Right. Then that's I write the joke. But if the observation is springboards a unique idea, I got no problem with that. But I've yet to use it. I was writing for someone recently and I said, why did you word it like that? Because that doesn't make sense. And they said, oh, AI did it.
Right.
And I said, well, tell AI they haven't done stand-up comedy for 32 years. It did make sense.
Yeah.
It did make sense. For some reason, AI chose that word there. It didn't make it funnier. It's going to be a while before AI is as funny as a human being, surely.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, you've just listed the two things that I have used it for, which is I get it to give me a list of things, just a list of words or phrases to do with something like chess. And then I'll go through and have a look at the ones that jump out to me, or I'll time it. The other thing that I have used it for, which I don't use it for anymore, which is because, like you said, it doesn't know anything about stand-up comedy, is rate this joke for me. And then it goes, well, this might not work with a sensitive crowd. I'm going to give it a whatever out of 10. I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about.
It's interesting that I wonder if AI could point out to you why something could cause offense when you didn't think it could.
Yeah.
But you still find out by doing it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Have the balls to do it. I'm open to persuasion where AI can do something for comedy, but with regard to choose rewording a punchline or writing a topple for me, I'm not interested.
Yeah. Yeah, good. Me neither. And I think what about I've seen comedians that have obviously taken things, popular jokes, popular memes, and just repurposed it onto their set. Is it just like, what is your opinion on that? That's like, it's such a famous worldwide meme. Not even, it's not even anyone's written it. No one owns it. But what is your opinion on people doing that and taking it into their own set?
Well, it's still plagiarism.
Yeah.
Just because no one's first of all, everything has an origin.
Mm.
So just because no one knows the owner doesn't mean you're not taking it.
Yeah.
You know, if you take that, I mean, if you find a chair in the street that's been dumped just by someone just put outside the house and you take it, that's a gift. But the
Yeah.
meme does exist artistically. You know,
Yeah.
they haven't offered the meme to one person. You
Yeah.
know, we're walking down the street and see a meme on the floor and it says, "I haven't put this online. Feel free to use it." Then okay, you've been given a free joke. But if I can spot a comedian who's taking existing content and rewording it because the core still feels quite obvious to me.
Right.
And obviously, if someone plays it with a meme I haven't seen before, then they're going to get away with it to me. But if you pick a well-known meme and you make it into a routine, there's someone who knows you did that. And
Yeah, that's
also,
right.
what a lack of dignity.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be creative, and your way of creating is to take something that's creative and reword it so that no one notices.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, no, have
Yeah.
some dignity, have some
Yeah.
self-respect.
Yeah. All right. I have some rapid fire questions. There's a segment called Rapid Fire Questions.
Rapid fire questions.
Let's go.
All right. So, I mean, you don't have to answer rapidly at all, but what's the first joke you remember working really well? The first one you remember getting a roar of laughter?
Um, okay. I mean, my first gig, I had some big laughs,
Yeah.
but with regard to a joke that was consistently like boom,
Yeah.
and I'll still bring it out if the topic comes up. I was no one ever talks about their no one ever talks about their first sexual thought. It's always experience. But do you remember you're about 7 or 8? You get tingly urge. You don't know why it's sexual. You don't know because you don't know what sex is. Mine was one of those pens with a lady in a swimming costume on. And when you turn the pen upside down, the costume disappears. You remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I shoved one of those up my bum. That was the first good joke I wrote.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well, I need to come back to that. What's your favorite swear word?
Bollock.
Would you rather give up magic or comedy?
Magic.
Yeah. A stand-up comedy trope you don't get. It could be anything, a popular, a fad, a comedy fad you don't get.
The idea that being fingered is funny just by being fingered.
What's the best?
Unless it's a pen up your bum.
What's the best stand-up special of all time?
Eddie Murphy Raw.
Most underrated comedian?
Nick Capper.
Nick Capper. All right.
Yeah. Blew me away. I saw him at the Comedy Lounge for a whole weekend. Absolutely blew me away.
Cool. I'll have to get him on. Is stand-up comedy just manipulating an audience into laughing?
No, it's getting an audience into your world.
Yeah.
The manipulation is the confidence to say this is good, join me. But I wouldn't say manipulation is what you're doing. You're seducing them once they've understood what you're about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And then because I'm, before I started, I think I've told you when you were here last, when I decided to start stand-up comedy, it was through acting. I acted and I thought I want to do this because they were encouraging me to do it. And I read a lot of things about the human mind and how the reason that human beings laugh. It's involuntary response to a surprise or something, and it comes from relief. Like we laugh out of a relief that the puzzle has been solved. So I always went into it with that kind of thing. I think even when you commented on some of my material and you said you really like a sharp left turn, don't you? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of how I've always, a rug pull or whatever. It's kind of how I was always written.
Well, that's laughter of surprise. But laughter of recognition is when an observational comedian says, "Have you noticed when you go to a wedding and kids do
Yeah.
this?" you're laughing with recognition. So in a way, all laughter is either recognition or surprise. You're either
Yeah.
going, didn't see that coming, or
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, like, so I mean, I love Tom Segura, and I watch his stuff, and when I analyze it, he's not saying punchlines a lot of the time. He's just saying the story that happened to him, and he's pausing in the right places, and what do you think about that compared to set up punchline material?
Well, there's still punchlines, they're just hidden
Right.
because you still have to know when it's funny.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I don't know his stuff well, but if there's a moment when the audience start laughing together, it's because there's a moment in what he said that's funny rather than just gradually popping up in different bits.
Yeah.
I watched a clip of his and it wasn't like a stadium gig and there was a big laugh and then a big laugh. So they're more disguised punchlines.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. He'll just say, I went there, then we did this and this, and I thought this and that. And you're going, oh,
Yeah.
there's not any setup punchline. Yeah, but they're still punchlines of a sort. I'll tell you what he did do that was a big mistake. He did a boom mic moment. Do you remember what a boom mic moment is?
Yes. Yeah. Where you can see the
So
boom mic coming into the shot.
yeah, well, you as a comedian, you're reminding the audience it's an act when they thought you were
Yeah.
just talking to them. He did a bit about having the snip, as we call it, vasectomy,
Yeah.
and he mentioned something about vasectomy, and there was like, oh, and he went, there's always one guy every night that goes like that. And I thought, well, you just told him it's an act you do every night.
Yeah.
That's a bit of
Yeah.
my moment. It's like you were talking about your vasectomy, and all he had to do was say, oh, guy over there just went, I know
Yeah.
he's had one too, right?
Yeah.
About this audience and your reaction. But he said, every night there's one guy that says, now you just said he seems like a bloke just talking. Well, if
Yeah.
he says every night, he's just told him he's not a bloke just talking.
Yeah.
It's verbatim script. And
Yeah.
therefore, this illusion of being a funny guy chatting has been shattered by saying every night there's one person who says that. You might go, you're overthinking it. I'm not. Don't plant it in your audience minds that you're just chatting and then remind them that you're not. It's a contradiction.
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant. All right. So I've got one more game. It's kind of an eye that now I've taken these names off a search engine, right? Google or whatever. It's an either or. Which comedian do you prefer? And one will be left standing at the end. In terms of your favorites. Now I should probably add a couple on here. But I can't remember. All right. So either or. Okay. Richard Pryor or George Carlin?
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor or Dave Chappelle?
Oh, given how weak Chappelle's recent stuff is, I'd say Richard Pryor. If Chappelle hadn't done the last three specials, I'd say Chappelle. Richard Pryor.
Yeah. Richard Pryor or Seinfeld?
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor or Bill Burr?
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor or Louis C.K.?
Oh my God. Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor or Norm Macdonald?
Mm. For the time, Richard Pryor. For my taste, watching them both now, Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
But
Norm
Richard
Macdonald.
Pryor's not alive. Richard Pryor's not alive to do a new special
Yeah, that's
to
true.
win me
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
So it's a hard one. But Norm Macdonald is something else.
Yeah. Yeah. He was fan. I could watch. My algorithm is just travel videos and Norm Macdonald clips and other stand-up clips, but it's a lot of Norm Macdonald.
Incredible. Yeah. So I'll go with Norm Macdonald on that one.
Yeah. Norm Macdonald or Mitch Hedberg?
Norm Macdonald, although Mitch Hedberg's got some of the best jokes in the world.
Yeah.
To watch him over an hour, I'd find Norm Macdonald more interesting.
Yeah. Norm Macdonald or Patrice O'Neill?
I knew Patrice quite well.
Oh, great.
That's a tough one. Patrice is such a massive personality.
Yeah.
I mean, if you made me choose, I'd say Norm Macdonald.
Yeah. Norm Macdonald or Chris Rock?
Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald or Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. Eddie Murphy or Robin Williams?
I never found Robin Williams funny. I always found it was very fake energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm going to do this now because it's funny,
Yeah.
rather than something authentic. So obviously the world disagrees with me, but any day, Eddie Murphy
Yeah.
Rob Williams
That's
any
that's
day.
funny. It's because, but that's not an opinion I probably would have agreed with as a kid. But as an adult, when I rewatch Robin Williams's material, I have that same opinion. It just seems like an over the top act.
I got it. I got it. He's a wind up bunny.
Yes, yeah, yeah, the Energizer bunnies. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's no energy. You do
yeah,
that, and it goes like that.
yeah. That's right. Well, there was a lot of coke involved as well, I believe.
Mm.
Eddie Murphy or Rodney Dangerfield?
Eddie Murphy, although I got a friend called Mike Capizzola who did the illustrations for my book. He did most of the illustrations, and he can quote Rodney Dangerfield, and it sounds exactly him. I mean,
Yeah,
down the phone, I thought he was playing a record to me, and he was some lovely lines. I was an ugly kid. My mum used to breastfeed me for a straw.
yeah. Sam
I
Morril
was an
does a
ugly kid. I was an ugly kid. As a kid, I used to, wait a minute. Every Halloween, I used to go trick or treating by phone.
yeah,
So he's too ugly to even be ugly at someone's door. Um, well, who are you gonna say? Someone?
Sam
Sarah?
Morril does a fantastic Rodney Dangerfield. Have you heard him?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Mike Capizoli. I thought it was him on down the phone. I thought he was
yeah,
playing a
yeah.
record. But so we got to the conclusion that Eddie Murphy is the greatest stand-up of all time, then, right?
Yeah, I've got some more, but
Go on.
all right, I'll speed through them. Eddie Murphy or Don Rickles?
Eddie Murphy easily.
Eddie Murphy or Stephen Wright?
Well, Stephen Wright's a better joke writer.
Mhm.
Eddie Murphy's a better performer.
Yeah.
Um, Stephen Wright is the greatest living comic mind
Wow.
for jokes, yeah, for
Yeah.
actual jokes, yeah. So it's so unfair to perform. Stephen Wright stands still.
Yeah.
His lack of energy is his energy, and Eddie Murphy's in his prime is sort of sexy comedian who could do impressions and just so loose on stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for it's so hard to compare the two,
Yeah. Yeah.
but if only one of them had to exist as a presence on stage, Eddie Murphy, yeah. But
Yeah.
Stephen Wright's, that list was incredible. Stephen Wright's the greatest joke writer ever. Mitch Hedberg's probably number two.
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald has just got comic presence permanently, just to look in his eye.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor led the way for Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
But Bill Burr leaves me cold, actually.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Someone quoted some stuff of his to me, and I loved it. Then I saw the actual clip and didn't like it, which
Right.
meant someone else's interpretation of it had more beauty in it than the. Because I get no warmth off Bill Burr, this idea had warmth in it, but I couldn't see it because it was
Yeah.
told by someone with just it probably was a very unloved fetus.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, so it's probably Eddie. I've got the list goes on, but I was going to say Eddie Murphy or Harry Hill.
Well, Harry Hill's the most inventive comedian of our generation.
Yeah.
So, they're doing such different things.
Yeah.
Harry Hill's this alter ego. Eddie Murphy's just being this cool guy. Their contribution to comedy is equal because Eddie Murphy kind of made comedy sexy, and he made no one should have that much talent because he can do impressions singing.
Yeah.
He can do Michael Jackson singing.
You can do Elvis. Yeah. He does it all.
Yeah. So as a force of nature, just a showcase of different talents
Yeah.
in one man, it doesn't get Eddie better than Eddie Murphy. But for a comic mind, Harry Hill's originality, I can't have this conversation. It's not fair.
Yeah. It's hard. I would probably agree and say like Eddie Murphy was my probably the favorite stand-up of all time as well. Was Delirious, and then Raw followed, and then he stopped and hasn't come back since. Other than
There's talk of it, isn't it?
It was that sorry?
There was talk of it recently.
Yeah, well, he went on interviews. He was on Ellen saying, "Yeah, I'm going to come back. I'm in the clubs. I'm working out," and then he fizzles out. Like he's like, "Maybe I will, maybe I won't." So there's been talk for quite a while, but he just, I don't think he really wants to commit to saying I'll do it because,
I hope he doesn't,
yeah,
because the style he did has been copied since. So if he does more of that, it will look dated, even though he created it.
Yeah.
So what is considered hacky comedy was considered groundbreaking when he was doing it. So
Right.
therefore, if he does more of the same, people go, yeah, we've seen that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I was the one who created that kind of stuff. Also, it was very young man comedy, the swagger,
Mm.
you know? I don't think
Yes.
you can swagger like that in your 60s.
No, he said he wouldn't, he wouldn't bust out a red or purple suit anymore, but he'd change it up for the times. But I mean, look, he came out and did an impression of Bill Cosby when he had the Mark Twain Award. He came out and dusted that impression off after 30 years or something, and that was just left people wanting more. I think you're right. I think it would be a disservice to the other two specials to come back and do another one. Um, Not a disservice, but maybe it would just it's nice to have those two specials sit in your mind as the greatest stand-up specials ever.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. You know, Ricky
Yeah.
Gervais did two series of The Office,
Mm.
and the American Office, I think it's 10 series, right?
Yeah.
Um, Ricky did two series of The Office
Yeah.
and just left it being seen as the greatest sitcom ever. He
Yeah.
did two Christmas specials, he did,
Mm.
but nonetheless, he only did two series of The Office. And in a
Yeah.
way, that's like Delirious and Raw. Two
Mm.
series.
Yeah.
There you go. No one could touch this.
Yeah. That's great. And I love I mean, there's always that debate between the US and the UK office, which I thought they were just completely different entities, anyway, especially after the first season of the US office, it became its own separate thing because, characters based on the office UK, but it became its own separate thing, which I could enjoy without going, I can't watch one and not the other, Um, yeah, I think that was.
I've never seen the American Office.
Oh, right. I think it's some of the.
Oh.
I think it became a little. Not. I wouldn't say it became a little slapstick, but I think they because Steve Merchant and Ricky Gervais were writers on it. I think Steve Merchant was actually on set a lot, directing a lot. So I think some of the writing was great, and they were writing for an American audience. So there's American writers there as well. But I loved it. I thought it was great. I just after the first or second season, it didn't remind me of the UK office at all.
I've heard that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've heard that.
yeah. So
So
what is?
that.
Yeah, you go. Sorry,
No, no, nothing, nothing.
I was going to say. So what's next then? Have you got? So you're touring the book around Adam Bloom as well. By the way, finding a comic genius. I misquoted this when I first had you on the podcast. I misquoted all of the quotes from from Jim Jeffries, Rich Hall, Harry Hill, and Ricky Gervais. I misquoted them all, but they're on here. Yeah.
So Jim Jeffries should have really been on that list, I think, because he is just a phenomenal. I
Mm.
supported him in a basketball stadium in Tel Aviv in
Yeah.
maybe 9 years ago. It was 3,700 seats. He'd never been in that country. He sold out in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
They
Wow.
put a second date on. Oh, you
Yeah.
like this? They put a second date on, and he almost sold that out. On the
Yeah.
second night, I'm about to go on stage. He stuck his head out through the dressing room and he went, "There's loads of empty seats over there. Like, what's going on?" So I went, "Jim, you just sold 7,500 tickets in a country you've never been into, and you're moaning." And in his defense, he did crack up laughing when he realized that what a dick move it is to complain that your extra date
Yeah.
isn't completely full. There's empty seats there. There's only 3,500 people in this stadium. But I watched him. I did half an hour, 25 minutes, no interval.
Yeah.
So it's him for 25 minutes, me for 25 minutes rather, and him for 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And the reason I know it's 2 hours and 5 minutes is I know how long I did. I know what time the show started. So at the end of it, I did the maths on how long he'd done. And I didn't look at my watch once in that 2 hours and 5 minutes. No interval.
Yeah.
Stadium, 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Wow.
Had them in the palm of his hand for 2 hours
Yeah.
and 5 minutes. The energy didn't dip for a second.
Yeah.
There were no lulls. And I think Jim Jeffries should have been on that list, but I'm not going to say shame on. Oh, wait a minute. He's Australian. Shame on you.
No, I had the list continues, by the way. It
Oh,
was.
go on then. Let's do it.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So I'll just list them all if you like.
Yeah.
Jim Jeffries is on there under Jim Gaffigan. So it was Dimitri Martin was next, Bo Burnham, Nate Bargatze, Brian Regan, Jim Gaffigan, Jim Jeffries, Ricky Gervais, Jimmy Carr, Billy Connolly, Eddie Izzard, Stuart Lee, Dylan Moran, Lee Mack, Sean Locke, Ross Noble, Daniel Sloss, Sarah Silverman, Wanda Sykes, Bill Hicks, Doug Stanhope, Sam Morrill, Mark Norman, Shane Gillis, Theo Von, Tom Segura, Bert Kreischer, John Mulaney, and Tim Vine.
Well, Tim Vine makes me laugh out loud more now on that list.
Yeah.
I am screaming watching Tim Vine. It's the rhythm of the setup punchline.
Yeah, yeah.
Harry Hill is the most original comedian on that list. And Sean Locke was my favorite comedian in Britain when he was alive.
Yeah.
So Sean Locke's the king. But ask me to compare Eddie Murphy on DVD to Sean Locke live 6 years ago. He died in 2021, 5 years ago, is an impossible comparison. But comic mind and originality, yeah, Sean Locke is the king.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah.
So Tim Vine makes me laugh out loud. Sean Locke makes me go, where did that thought come from?
Yeah.
And Harry Hill does the same for me. So yeah, this is an unbelievable list. Unbelievable list.
Well, I saw it. It's funny, just to close on where we opened, I saw a clip of Brendan Burns on the news saying that Tim Vine was a pun-slinging tosspot.
Tim Vine is it's so delightfully silly.
Yeah.
I quote him in the book. So I rang up British Telecom. I said, I want to report a nuisance phone call. He said, not you again. I could quote Tim all day. But on that list, guess how many people I've written for on that list?
Oh, I would say, I want to be generous and say half, but I think maybe a third.
No, not even close. One.
Wow.
Yeah, but in all fairness, most of them are Americans who I haven't met.
Yeah, right.
In fact, I haven't met, of the American comedians you've mentioned, I've only met Stanhope of that whole list.
Oh, wow.
So it's unlikely I'm going to write for many of them.
Yeah.
Stanhope is the best opinionated comedian who ever lived.
Yeah.
I would put Stanhope above Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
For thought-provoking stuff. But first of all, he turned over a lot. I know Hicks died young, but Stanhope is prolific and his opinions are so authentic. I think he's the best opinionated comedian ever.
Right.
But I've on that list, I've written for one on their next Netflix special.
Yeah.
And I've given material to one as a gift,
Yeah.
but not sold it. Just like, oh, have you thought of saying this?
Yeah.
And Doug Stanhope had an umbilical hernia operation because of me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You want to hear that?
Because of you. Yeah, go on.
So I was on stage a long time ago, maybe 18 years ago, and I bought a T-shirt in a sale, and it was a bit too tight. And I walked on stage at Battersea Jongleurs, big venue, and someone went, big up. And I went, I haven't got a big up. I left because it's too tight, right? The T-shirt.
Yeah.
So I lifted up my T-shirt to show I didn't have a big up. And this girl went, look at his belly button, right? I haven't got a line out. I've had 2 heckles about my body. And so I did an improvised bit about my outie belly button. It used to be an innie, but it's now it's an outie. And then after the gig, this girl came up to me and said, that's not an outie, that's an umbilical hernia. You need an operation. So she said, does it hurt when you touch it? So I touched it, no. She said, well, when you go to the doctors, when they touch it, go, ow. Because that will fast track you to get it done before it gets dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
So I did that and I had the operation. And then a couple of years later, I'm watching Doug stand up Leicester Square Theatre. And he talks about his belly button being out. It used to be an innie. So I emailed him because we talk occasionally. And I said, I think that might be what I had.
Yeah.
And he emailed me back a few weeks later. Said, yeah, it was. I had the operation.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Did he say
So I've
how?
given, no, but so on that list, I've given 2 people material and 1 an operation.
Yeah. That's good. The only other person that I meant to put on there who I keep seeing is Gary Delaney. I don't know if you've worked with him.
I know, I supported him recently, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's another one who I see who's popping, his clips pop up a lot for me recently. And it's another one who's very set up punchline. I thought you might
Oh yeah, no, he's a great. Do you know who Cliff Richard is?
Yeah. Harry
Yeah,
Wells.
he said, my favorite line of his, he said, Cliff Richard is asexual and B, gay.
Yeah, that's good. That's fantastic.
Gary Delaney is an odd one because he's actually a joke writer who just reads his jokes out on stage.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
doesn't really have a persona. He's the exception that proves the rule
Yeah.
that a comedian has to have a persona because you do.
Yeah.
And yet he doesn't. He walks on stage like a bloke at the office, opens up a book and almost reads jokes to you.
And laughs at his own jokes as well. Like
Yeah, because he's enjoying them. He's enjoying them. Yeah. he's the antithesis to Eddie Murphy because
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy's all personality and swagger.
Yeah.
There is masses of content, but at the front of it is the swagger. By the way, someone said to me they watch Raw. I said it's just him strutting up and down. I went, nah. There's extreme structure in Raw.
Yeah,
Extreme structure. When he rings his mum, when he gets into a fight in a nightclub, he said, I always ring my mum when I got trouble. And he talked about ringing his mum. He said, but it always takes ages to answer the phone. Then it cuts to the mum and dad, and they have an argument.
Yeah.
And it goes on for ages and ages. And then we completely forgot the context. And then
Yeah.
dad goes, hold on, hello? And you can't do that in a film because you'd hear the phone ringing the whole time.
Yeah,
So
that's
the
right.
beautiful thing about stand-up and act-outs is that we only hear, the audience only hear the sounds we want you to hear. So
Yeah.
we completely forgot the telephone was ringing. And that's just one of 100 clever little twists and turns of writing in Raw. But yeah, the range of people you've just described, you've got Tim Vine's silliness and then Doug Stanhope's preaching. They're different worlds.
Yeah.
And comparing Stephen Wright to Eddie Murphy, I mean, Sean Locke, Harry Hill, Stephen Wright, Mitch Hedberg, they're the great comic minds that you they're the people who can see things completely differently. I'll tell you my favorite Mitch Hedberg joke. He said, people assume because of the way I dress that I'm into sport. A guy came up to me the other day and said, hey, do you know what the score is? I said, I don't know, what's the game? If it's a contest between me and you and the object is to ask the other one questions they don't give a shit about, then you're ahead 1-0.
Yeah. That's...
He got all that from the question, what's the score? Do you know what the score is?
Yeah.
He got all that from the question, do you know what the score is? And the
Yeah.
other one I love, Mitch Hedberg, he goes, do you ever eat something unhealthy and eat something healthy to try and justify it? As if a carrot and an onion ring are to go into your stomach, and on the way in the carrot goes, it's cool, he's with me.
Yeah, that's great.
Is that wonderful?
Yeah. The other great one he has about is rice is really great when you want to eat 10,000 of something.
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And his unique flow.
Yeah.
I could sort of do an impression of him without doing jokes, and you still notice him just because of the flow.
Yeah. No, that's great. All my favorite comedians. I mean, I saw Mark Norman live recently. Oh, I don't know, about a year ago now, and that was amazing. And I could see because I was up front. My wife got great tickets. I was looking at his balls. I was up front looking at his balls the whole time. I could see him not looking at anyone in the crowd. I could see him just gazing over the tops of heads, and he's got it down to an R, and it was very funny. It was great, but I could see closer. And then at the end, he opens it up to questions, and he tries to improv some stuff, and someone tried to make him do a shoey, and he left. He was like, nah, I'm good. See ya,
What's a shoey?
A shoey is an Aussie thing where you drink beer out of a shoe. You take your shoe off, you pour beer in it, and then you drink
Ugh.
out of it. I've never done it, and I don't intend to.
You know, in England,
yeah.
well, when you said looking at his balls, I thought you meant his testicles. I've never heard someone say eyeballs without adding the word eyes.
No,
first.
I meant his testicles. I meant I was so close. He was like above me just here, and I felt like I was looking at his nuts the whole time.
You so look at his balls, and he didn't once make eye contact with anyone. And I'm thinking, no, you didn't make eye contact with anyone.
But anyway, thank you for joining me, mate. We'll leave it there because I think my cameras are about to die and everything. But I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you
again
so much.
for coming back for my 1 year episode.
First repeat.
Yes,
First repeat guest.
I've had a couple of repeat guests.
No. Okay, first repeat guest over 2 different months. No.
No.
Here we are. First repeat guest over the month that's the same both times.
Yes, that's correct. Yes. That's right. Yeah, you started a year ago. This is exactly a year when this comes out. Exactly a year later. You're also the first guest, my first international guest. So that's all good too. But yeah, so you're off. You can't mention where or anything, but that's all. You're off to another place. Maybe I'll see you in another year. Or any plans to come back to Perth?
If there are enough new comedians to do we did 8 masterclasses. If there are enough, Brisbane we did 36 people. So if we could get another 24, 36 people in each city, Sydney, Brisbane and Perth, I'd love to come back. I think maybe 2 year time, but maybe a year now from now.
Yeah, great.
Would be enough new comedians, and I'm going back to places in a 2-year cycle, it seems.
Yeah.
I've done 6 in Utrecht in Holland. Utrecht has now outsold London.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's great. It must
Yeah,
feel
the
really
Dutch-
good that something that this thing that you've created has become such a handbook tool, useful thing for comedians, up and coming and professional. It's a great.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy. I didn't even know I'd written a good book
yeah,
when I wrote it. You can't really quite know. Nailed a few points here and there, but you can't know if it's boring or it drags on.
Yeah.
It's very, very exciting. It's nearly 3 years. I still haven't come down off the cloud.
yeah. That's great. That's great. Well, hopefully you don't have to come down. Hopefully, just keep soaring.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. Thank you again. Travel safe as well. Keep well. It was great chatting to you. We'll keep in touch. Cool.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That was great, man.